Hello and welcome to Creating a Universe. I'm your host, William J. Rogers, and I'm here today with Mr. Matt Simo.
Hey,
Yo.
how's everyone going again? We got our second podcast together, Will.
And we are also here, not just the two of us, but with none other than the Power Metal Ranger. What's up?
What's going on, folks? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, kind gentlemen, for inviting me to be a part of this. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, it's wicked, man. It's, been looking forward to this one. It's going to be a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. We're here, of course, to talk about the Power Metal Rangers, and especially the story episode that is just about to come out. We have just set a date, no less. We agreed on Wednesday, 22nd of April, which should be 1 week from the time this podcast is dropping. So that's exciting stuff, right, guys?
Oh, super exciting. Oh my God. Wednesday.
We just had a fun conversation.
There's a song there. Yes.
Yeah, we kind of realized, like, on the spot, oh, wait, now we're going to start recording. We actually have to, like, agree on the date that we're announcing. So, we got there in the end, right?
We did. Teamwork.
Cool. Yes.
So, I mean, the episode, right? That's obviously been complete for a little while. And that's going to be debuting, just like the full thing. That's going to be dropping on the YouTube channel, on the LovAnaverse Music YouTube channel. We'll stick it on Power Metal Rangers and stuff as well. And yeah, I mean, let's talk about it, guys. It's what's cool about this one is the first episode of the new Power Metal Rangers series. There's going to be a bunch of these, but it really is like a self-contained story, right? It's like, it's about what's our runtime? 48 minutes. So it's like a pilot episode for the series, but really it's a whole story within itself. And super excited to be bringing this out. It's going to be the first one really from LovAnaverse that goes into this kind of depth, and I think it offers like a really great kind of intro to the kind of storytelling we're doing here, and especially everything that the Power Metal Rangers are about. So maybe we could start by talking about that. Like, Mr. Power Metal Ranger, you seem like the guy. What are the Power Metal Rangers about?
The guy.
The guy to answer this question.
Power Metal Rangers. Yeah. That's a loaded question. Who are the Power Metal Rangers?
Right.
Who are any of us, really? Anywho,
who are the real Power Metal Rangers to start?
the real
in case
Rangers.
Anybody doesn't know.
Yes. Behind the mask.
Exactly.
Yes, the Power Metal Rangers is a new epic power metal band, international band with incredible members, and it was originally formed to kind of recapture the spirit, the golden age that I call it, of the 2000s era of power metal. To really kind of capture that sound, because that's the time when I got into power metal, so always holds a special place in my heart there. And so I was like, yeah, this would be really cool. And yeah, I mean, I got together just incredible talent. These guys are all amazing. And first and foremost, it's a power metal band. But with William's expertise and genius, it has morphed, no pun intended, from being just a power metal band, a new power metal band, but expanding the scope and scale of this project to where the Rangers are now a part of the LovAnaverse. Each band member has their own character that they created, that's within the universe, and part of the Power Metal Rangers. So they're not. It's not just a band where you listen to the music or whatever. It's so much more than that. There's storytelling involved as well, and characters that you can see and learn about, and it's just incredible. So yeah, in a nutshell, I guess that's the Power Metal Rangers, right? I mean, I could be here all day talking about the Power Metal Rangers. So I think that gets the idea across.
I think that, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, as well, we've touched on this before, and, you know, you came onto this podcast a while ago to talk about yourself and what you do. Just in case anybody doesn't know, though, of course, you know, you're, you know, primarily like a YouTuber, right? In the power metal scene, especially. And you've been doing that for some years now. We're speaking about this, you know, off camera, like, you know, how many videos you've made, like
Thousands
reacting and
of
reviewing
videos.
to power metal music and doing interviews and all sorts, you know. And so you know, you've been like really rooted into this community for a while now, which is just super, super cool. And like, you were able to put together this band out of different power metal musicians and stuff from different bands, which is just super cool. Like, it's a totally international project. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's like 7 of us in the band, right? And I mean, there's like 6 different countries, I think, you know. Only Jack and I are from the UK.
Yeah, the only
Um,
2 in the UK, yeah.
yeah, so you know, it's super cool, super diverse. Everyone is like super talented, and I mean, you put this whole thing together. It's really your vision with your knowledge of power metal and everything. Like, you were able to curate this and be like, this is what I want to do. And so yeah, you and I obviously have worked together on not only managing the project and creating that music, but connecting it all to this storytelling. And I think that this episode that's coming out now is gonna give people the opportunity to really see what this is about, because yeah, we have shown characters and we have shown the song part of this episode, like, that we released with the song, that shows how these rangers are, like, you know, playing the music but also fighting monsters and so on. And you know, that's cool. And I mean, a lot of bands have done things like that, especially in power metal, you know, might have characters and so on. But really, with this story, we're taking it to kind of a whole other level, where the storytelling really is like much deeper than that. And this, as you say, is more than just a band, is really like a proper show, you know, that is, you know, very much kind of in the spirit of, obviously there's a serious homage there to the original kind of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But you know, it's also, you know, perhaps a little bit more mature than that. Like, not overly, but you know, it has maybe a feel of a kind of a little bit of Marvel, perhaps, or what kind of thing would you say?
Yeah, I love that. And just to go back briefly, because I love how you said that about, like, with, you know, some power metal bands and stuff, you know, they have their characters and, you know, there's stories told in the songs. And, but it's like more of a gimmick. And I don't say that like in a bad way, you know, because, you know, it's fun, it's whatever, but it's, yeah, it's just more of just kind of a gimmick. Even when they're in their character costumes and stuff, which again is cool. But this, like you said, it's so much deeper than that. It's not a gimmick. It's like just part of it. And just the depth at which we go into this with the story and all that. It's just extensive. And this is just for the first song. But yeah, you know, to your point, it definitely has that MCU kind of vibe, as opposed to, it's not a kid's show, but it's not like an adult only show. It's not like a R rated, you know, but it's also not G, you know. It falls, I would say, fairly within that like PG-13 realm. So it's like the whole family can enjoy it. And yeah, it's a bit more mature, you know, thematically than like Power Rangers. But again, you know, it's got the fun, adventurous spirit that you know, kids like. And that the Power Rangers themselves, you know, in the show, that captured that feeling too. And yeah, I mean, I could just gush about this project so much. But the thing that I love too is, you know, I I hope that we can invoke the spirit of, or evoke the spirit that when you're a kid and you first watch Power Rangers, like when that guitar intro first kicks, I mean, it just gets you pumped. And I don't care how many times you heard it every day, it would get you pumped. It still gets me pumped if I hear it somewhere and I'm like, oh heck, it's morphin time, baby. Let's go, you know? And so it's like that feeling, you know. And I hope that we capture that spirit. I think we have. And yeah, between the music, and the story, it's epic, and it's just so cool. And I'm so privileged to be a part of a project. And again, I could keep just talking like this forever. But yeah, I mean, I think people will be surprised by the sheer quality. People, it seems like we're already kind of surprised, like it exceeded expectations for
Yeah.
Rangers Go, the debut song. And so I think
Yeah.
with the story episode, that's also just going to kind of blow people's minds with just the quality of it, and the scope of it.
Oh, it's absolutely huge. So the song itself, of course, came out, a short while back, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's really does capture that classic power metal vibe, and it's huge in scope. Right, just the song itself is already thematically big. The sound is big. I mean, the audio, the production of it all is huge. You have these fantastic musicians, right, from all over the world. That there's so many elements here that seem to just have meshed together and gelled. From almost every way you could possibly look at it, right? I mean, you have insane music being performed by like insanely talented musicians, right? And who are embodying their own amazingly like powerful characters in a huge universe of like shared storytelling. And so I think the thing to me that really makes this so cool is that you bring all of these elements together like the way that it happens with the Power Rangers, right? Or with the, or even in of course, in the theme of the story itself, that we're bringing together the band of Rangers, from all different avenues in the LovAnaverse, right, in their own paths, and there's this mirror between what's happening in the real world, the work that you've done, Power Metal Ranger, to bring together all of these insanely talented musicians, and then the work and let's not like discount the work that Will does. I wouldn't say it to his face, but he does amazing work, and
Incredible work. Yeah,
incredible work. And um but it's this really cool synergy between what's happening in real life and what's happening in the story and in the music. I think that this project, Power Metal Rangers, this first episode, really does encapsulate what makes what's happening in LovAnaverse so special in a very real way, because that's what it all is. It's not just music. It's not just the visual. It's not just the acting. It's so many different elements all brought together in this just very powerful like package. I know I got to watch through it myself, and I was blown away with the work that everybody did. I had my own little small cameo in there, but but what everybody did, fantastic, amazing stuff. So all that to say, I would love to like maybe hear from you, Power Metal Ranger, like your take on bringing together this whole thing, because I mean that I think is, again, in the story and in real life, like such an important part of what this whole project is. So what's that like for you to know that you've got all these people, and what was your kind of role in doing that?
First of all, it's incredibly humbling. Um, that when I first started my reaction channel, it was just kind of on a whim. I was like, oh, it'd be cool if there was a reaction channel, music reaction channel that was focused mainly on power metal. And then fast forward some years, I got to know like band members and people all over the world, and speak with folks of bands that I've been listening to for years. And then now I kind of like know them. And then they know who I am. Like we talk, and so many of them have become friends of mine, and I never forget that. Like I never take any of that for granted. It's
Right.
always so mind blowing. It's so cool. And then I kind of got the idea, and maybe it was just one of those random, but my mind tends to just ideas, just kind of random things all the time. And most of the time I just kind of push them. No, no, I'll entertain it for a while in my head and then just
Right.
kind of, move on to the next thing. But then I just kind of start thinking about, I know like a lot of people in the scene now, and I wonder what it would take to kind of put together a international like power metal band, and of course call it Power Metal Rangers.
Right.
And so I actually kind of started going with it instead of like pushing it away. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I initially kind of reached out to some folks. I even made like a post on like my Instagram and stuff saying, "Hey, looking to put together a thing, if anyone is interested, let me know." And I had a lot of people like actually be interested, like people, not like, like legitimate people, not bots or
Yeah.
like, random stuff. It's like people in
Right.
like these bands that like I listened. And I was like, I was like, this is incredible. Like, so many of these people like trust me with this project and want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so we got together an initial lineup, and it was a little bit of a learning experience trying to run something like this, and have this talent, and try to focus in on, hey, let's like create a song, and manage all of this. And time kept going on, and I don't remember, William, do you remember like when I said I first kind of put it out there, and was it like, had to have been like October 2024 or something that this first started? It was at
Something like
least
that.
I think a little over a year
I
before we
think
got.
earlier.
Was it
I
earlier
think
than that?
it was the beginning of 25 that um that I kind of properly came in, and that you and I really started like working on
Okay.
putting it into action, and there was definitely a little while before that.
Yeah, so
You did
maybe I
mention it
guess
to
it
me
was a little, or
when you first came up with the idea and first put it out there. You
yeah.
did contact me and said that you would love to have me involved in some way, or perhaps producing. But otherwise you completely managed it yourself, and yeah, went and got the guys in the band and stuff. And yeah, and there were some people that joined, but as you say, it's a challenge to manage these things, so it did take its time. And then a little bit later on, I remember beginning of 25, that's when you and I kind of really put our heads together on like really putting it into action,
Yeah.
and we got to work
Yeah.
on really kind of getting the project off the ground.
Yeah, and I wanted to make emphasize that because yeah, it got started and then several months went by, and I have like a good lineup too. I mean, these were like solid
Oh, awesome
people,
lineup,
but
yeah.
it just was. It just the gears were just kind of grinding. Like we weren't producing any. It was just kind of becoming stagnant, and I was kind of not sure how to even make this happen. Then we had some members leave because not with like it was just they were busy with like other stuff, and then like nothing was happening here. And then so
Everyone's got
we were
like a handful of projects to juggle.
yeah, and so we were kind of losing members. And and I got to the point where I was about ready to just throw in the towel. I was just like, "Ah, this is tough." I had all these people, and then I've lost them because, and I take full responsibility for that because I couldn't make this happen. Like, and these people believed in the project and everything, and yeah, and it's like it just kind of fizzled. But you know, I was getting ready to throw in the towel, and then I kind of spoke to William, um, and he so graciously agreed to kind of lend his helping hand in the project. And it kind of, I think, gradually became even more ingrained than initial conversations. It was kind of like he'll help manage, but then it's like one thing led to another, and I wanted to pull him in even more. And I think he got sucked into it. And that's when we reached a turning point. I reached out to other members and stuff. Fun fact, the only two, if I'm not mistaken, the only two original members that joined from the very beginning and are still here are Jack and Gideon. They were both from the start and
Or the
are
Blue
still
Ranger
here.
and the Gold Ranger.
The Blue Ranger and the Gold Ranger, yes. Jr. and Gideon,
Yeah.
Jacardo, yeah. And then so I reached out to some other members, and I was a little bit feeling kind of like, okay, I got to go through this again, get some other members and stuff. But ultimately, I think this was the team that was always meant to be. It's like the stars aligned, like when these guys joined, when Adrian joined on guitar, when William obviously joined to help kind of focus it and manage that. That's when things started happening. And when he took up the second guitar position, as well as everything else that he does. Then we got Emil on drums. And then we got Stefano on vocals, who I think was the last piece, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the last piece. It was like, okay, we got all the musicians back, but now we got to find a vocalist again.
By that point, we'd actually got music down as well. I think the Rangers
you're
Go
right.
was basically done.
You're right. I think we basically had that good to go. Yeah,
and we needed the vocalist, and
yeah. But so once all that it was like it was meant to be, like truly. And these guys, they're so passionate about it, which humbles me again, because it's like, man, these guys are so passionate, like being part of this project. And all aspects of it, because we even threw them a little bit for a loop, because it's like we were working on the music and stuff, but then it was like, William and I talking, and William's like, oh, this should be part of like the LovAnaverse. We should have the stories and these characters and stuff. And so we threw that out to the guys, and we're like, hey, we're going to do this also, and you're going to be voicing your character if you're willing to. And they're kind of like, wow, this sounds, it's a lot, but they were all like pretty stoked about it. They all lent their voices for, they voiced their characters in the story.
They all
the
created
guys
their characters. Like
they
all
all
of them
created
came
their
up with their own
characters.
characters. They made the names. They made, the kind of backgrounds.
Their abilities.
They all chose their colors. Right, we had a whole thing of everyone choosing their colors, which was fun, and and then they all did the voice acting for their own characters as well. And I think, as you say, like, hats off to all those guys for having that trust in us over that long period of time. But as you say, like kind of brick by brick, it's really started to form now. And I think especially, obviously, the first song and the music we've been making since. But especially now with the episode, how it actually comes together, I think now people can really see like what this is all about, right?
Yeah. And again, the journey was crazy and a lot of ups and downs. But like I said, where it landed, it feels right. Like it feels just right, And I'm so excited for people to see the story episode, because obviously they've heard the music, they've heard like, wow, all these guys have other bands and stuff too that are well known. So it's like a lot of fans were like, oh wow, Jack from Grimgots, or Emil from what was Lastera, Stefano from Great Master, Adrian from like all this stuff. It's just like, wow, you got that, and then hearing them though in the context of the Rangers and in Rangers Go, it's just like, it's just really cool. But getting to see them now as the characters, like you've seen the characters like in the video if you've seen Rangers Go, but now you'll actually get to really get to know them, get the context kind of behind the song and behind why the characters just learn more about the characters, and all the guys in the band are all fully involved in that, and again voice their characters, which is super cool. It's not just like, oh, our vocalist voiced his character and the other guys, no, they all voice their characters. And I just feel like they're all just real passionate about it too. And William, when he joined, and we had many conversations, and off the rip, I just knew this was going to be great, because how passionate he was about it. Like, if anything, like I feel like his passion for this project is almost more than mine, you know. And it's like I can't overstate like how passionate about this I am and how sick I think it is. But he brought that energy also and fully just dove in. Took like, I don't mean like take ownership, but like it became very personal to him as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that like when you see this episode,
Yeah.
all the hard work that William did behind this, you can see the passion. And again, that humbles me. Yeah, that's the word of the hour. Humbled.
Yeah.
I am just constantly humbled by these folks and their dedication to this project and how it keeps expanding. And again, yeah, I could just blab on and on about all this stuff, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And we did when Will stepped away for a moment, we did gush about him a little bit, that
A little bit.
he does have a way of pulling people together.
Mhm.
And that passion and that drive certainly brought me into this LovAnaverse project, and you know, but in so many ways, I think it's not just any one person. I think that this entire LovAnaverse and Love Anarchy, the entire project of all of these different collaborative storytelling, musical, you know, adventures, it really is at its core. It's all about bringing people together, right? It's all about bringing people together for that share a passion for creativity and music and storytelling, and so this episode, which is fantastic, and I'm so excited for everyone to get to experience it. Really does encapsulate, I think, what makes everything in LovAnaverse so special, in that way. But it's really cool. It's really cool to hear about how all of that came together. And the work, even you know, hearing about the collaborative element between what you did, Power Metal Rangers, and you know, Arranger, but you know, your work initially, and then working with Will, and that whole thing again. It's this collaboration that just drives all of these projects. And so I think maybe the other part that you really did start to touch on pretty heavily, I think that's so cool, is this multifaceted experience where each of the band members in real life, you know, they created their own characters, they voiced their own characters, and they all did a phenomenal job, by the way.
Yes, they
It's
did. They did.
fantastic. You
Some of them
know,
are hard on themselves, but it's like, no, everyone was great.
Totally.
fantastic. I mean, that's one of the things I think that people are going to be blown away by, when they finally get to sit down and listen and watch. Which, of course, the great thing about the way these episodes are built is you could listen to it, right, as just an audio sort of only experience, and it works perfectly that way. But then there's this wonderful visual element as well, and you know, maybe while not totally necessary to follow along with the story, it does add a lot to it. You can sit down and watch it like you're watching an episode of a TV show.
I do think it deserves to be at least first experienced that way. I mean, like you said, you can just listen to it. You can,
right?
And it still works good, but it's
Right.
that immersive experience though of also seeing it at the same time. And so yeah, I would highly recommend everyone to you know, watch it while they listen to it. But
I do think for anybody that is, you know, I feel like a lot of first time listeners, you know, people that haven't seen this yet, which is, you know, pretty much nobody right now, but I think that there'd be a lot of like people probably don't know fully what to expect, especially in terms of the format. You know, it's like, okay, it's a story from a band, you know, but what makes this sort of different? And, you know, Matt and I, obviously, you know, we spoke a little bit in the last podcast we did about the kind of format of the storytelling we're doing. But I can imagine people even listening to this right now thinking, okay, this sounds cool, but what even is it? And as we kind of touched on there, I feel like it was probably that way a fair amount, even with the band members and stuff as well. Like they were kind of bit by bit were like, all right, I'll make a character, then I'll, you know, whatever. And then even, okay, there's actually a script, like, whoa, this is a proper story. Okay, I'll do my lines. And I think that finally, as it comes together, like people now start to be like, oh, wow, you know? And so I suppose just maybe to clear up as much as we can, give an idea of that expectation. You guys touched upon it. It's like it's an audio driven story, right? It's an audio drama, technically, I suppose. But yeah, it does have visuals throughout, mostly art. The song section has the animation and stuff that we shared before. But mostly it's like, you know, you'll have images of the key kind of scenes playing out. So as you say, you definitely can watch it like you're watching a show on Netflix or something. It's you know, a little bit more static than that, because it will generally be like a piece of art throughout a scene, or maybe a few pieces of art just to kind of show you the key things that are happening. But as you say, Matt, the way that it's written is like it's totally audio driven. You could just listen to it in your headphones, and you know, graphic audio, they call it, like it's like a movie in your mind type thing, you know. So you absolutely can do that.
Because you've added sound effects and background music and all that. So it's very immersive. It's not just you hear a voice, you know, talking.
It is like listening
sounding.
Exactly. It's really like listening to a movie. But there are visuals there as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, no, right. I mean, and again, you know, this is something that we've been touching on. In my mind, what really makes what's happening with and of course Power Metal Rangers being the first one that will be released, with many more incredible stories and episodes to come from different series, and you know, but what makes it so special is that there isn't just one thing that defines it, right? This isn't just voice acting, you know, driven audio drama, right? Like it's not like just listening to an audiobook. You know, there's the music, right? In the music in it, we're talking about from both the perspective of fully scored, cinematic quality music throughout the episode, like what you would get from any TV show or movie. The actual song, of course, which is, you know, ends up being a pinnacle, you know, moment in the episode. Which of course that has been released, so that can give you a bit of a preview for the level of quality that you can expect, right, from the episode. But everything, the sound effects, right, that draw you in.
This one was fun on sound effects as well, making the sound design for like morphing as a ranger and all that, like also, I mean, it was an intensive.
That's how you
exactly. Man, some stuff genuinely is like that. Some sound design is about making sounds in the mic. I love
seeing behind
the
scenes
distorting
of sound design. It's wild. Yeah.
It's a lot more than you would think. So much of it ends up just being making sounds into a microphone and just playing with a bunch of effects afterwards. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. This one was quite intensive on the sound design, because you just wanted that excitement and all of these kind of like sci-fi action kind of sounds. But it was really fun, you know. It was really fun to make those in those, you know, action scenes and stuff, and to hear like some of these kind of like power weapons and things that are going on. Like, super cool, man. Super fun, exciting to listen to, you know. Hopefully.
And then, of course, and then there's the visual element to it, as we've touched on. You know, so you'll get these visual, you know, elements where you can see kind of representations of the scene, just to help you to kind of fill out in your mind's eye as you're watching and listening. It really does act as a strong visual aid, I would say, more than anything. So so it's not quite
you can see all the characters, you know,
Right.
and I mean, what we'll often do, like the way it's been put together, is it will kind of generally show you like the main thing that's happening at the time in that scene.
Right.
Like it kind of visuals touch all the main story beats, but certain scenes that have a lot of characters with a lot of back and forth dialogue, like there's a scene that has the Rangers on their spaceship, you know, all 7 Rangers, and they're all talking to each other. And so with ones like that, you kind of have the spaceship background, and then it shows the character as they're speaking. So it also really helps to get to learn like who these characters are and how they all kind of communicate, and you have that visual awareness of like, all right, this character is saying this, and then this one is you know, coming back with this. And you know, I think especially, as you say, for a first time listen, that really helps get a grasp of it, because I listen to a lot of audio dramas and things, obviously, to you know, reference, and sometimes that can be tricky, especially if it's like you're getting into a new story. It's kind of like, wait, who's talking? You're
learning the different voices still.
Right. So I think it really helps like get an understanding of like who all the characters are and what everything kind of looks like. And then you know, can absolutely listen to it in the car or whatever without looking at it as well, you know. So especially, you know, once you've kind of got to grips with it. But I love having the visuals there as well, and creating all of those and designing all those is a lot of fun. That obviously, you know, not so much the focus right now, but that of this particular podcast, but that obviously connects to the trading card game as well, because by creating all of those visual aspects, though, you know, we get to take those assets and turn them into cards. Oh, look at that. That's the Nathan Murphy card.
Who's that there? Who's that?
That guy.
Wow.
See, just in case anybody hasn't like quite clocked that, like this trading card of Nathan Murphy, which is, you know, the Power Metal Ranger character, like that's the character's you know, sort of real name. And that image of him that is featured in the episode, and of course on his trading card, like that is actually a picture of the actual Power Metal Ranger, in terms of like,
it's in my likeness.
He has the likeness, you know, the face. You know, and we have that for all of the characters. You know, my character is in the episode as well. And you see, you know, obviously some of them, you know, the Rangers. So there he's in his sort of more like street ranger kind of mode, right? Kind of gunslinger, cowboy dude. And but then they morph into the suits in the episode.
So cool.
It's free morphed Ranger. Free morphed.
Yeah. So obviously in the suits they have the helmets on and things, but when they're not in the suits, then they actually have our faces, you know. And so you know, you touched on that, Matt, as well, as like the parallels between reality and the story. And that's a really fun and unique component to this that is definitely prevalent, but it's also so flexible, because I love getting to bring as much like organic kind of collaborative elements to this as possible. So I love being able to get the people to contribute in terms of like getting more agency over their character, as if it's got an almost RPG type feel to it, you know, like you get to kind of create your character and almost like you're playing a game with this whole thing. Here's what my character's like, and here's how they would act, and so on. So there's that component to it, and we're able to like parallel things from reality and make things about people's characters that are kind of inspired by reality, but then also we can go completely left the field as well. We can like massively exaggerate things. We can completely make things up. It isn't actually us, you know. Nathan Murphy isn't, you know, the Power Metal Ranger that we see before us, but there's like, you breathe the soul into that character, right? The life into that character. And that's what everybody is doing with this. And I feel like that adds something else to it, something a little bit more unique, you know, that there is this just organic quality that's brought into the storytelling, that's informed by all this. So exactly as you say, I mean, the main premise, the main thing that happens in this episode is that the Rangers come together, and as you say, like, you know, there's no doubt about that, the elements of that parallel how the Rangers came together in real life, you know.
Right.
But it's a fantasy story version where we have freedom to be like, oh yeah, and then there was this epic battle, and you know there
Yeah.
was some like magic happened, and like, you know, we can just make it like a way cooler fantasy version.
Well,
of,
I'm pretty sure that there was a spaceship in real life, though, somewhere along the way. But. So
Don't tell anyone.
I would love to know though. Obviously you voiced your own character, right? You voiced the character of Nathan Murphy, being the Power Metal Ranger in real life and in universe. Without getting into any specific spoilers, thematically there is a link there between the fact that you brought together the band in real life, right? And Nathan Murphy brings together the band in this episode to bring together the Power Metal Rangers. And but of course, one of the elements of that is the fact that you yourself are not a musician, right? And so so that's and you know, that's an important part of what this is all about. So what's that like for you? You know, that connection of being leading the band in that way, right? You are the leader. You're the front man for the band that you're not a musician in. In both in real life, of course, and as we'll see, you know, in the story. So I think that's, you know, so that is one question, and then the other part would be the fact that you are voicing this character. You know, obviously you have experience with using your voice on camera and being on your own YouTube channel. But what was that like? Have you ever done anything like that before in terms of voice acting, or anything like that? Because you did fantastically well. I mean, it's awesome. It's so good. So what's that
Thank you.
like? What was that like for you?
Thank you so much. I mean, it was wild. I'll touch on, I guess, on the second question first.
Yeah.
No, I'd never done like voice acting or anything like that before. And so having to like voice a character, what was such a unique experience, you know, I would say. I tend to be somewhat dramatic. And I love drama and the theater. Why are you laughing, William? What's so funny about that? He's over there
cool.
laughing like, look at this guy. No.
Well, just watch a Power Metal Ranger reaction video, you know, and
Yeah.
you can see the inherent drama within.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's tempered. But yeah, you know, when I was young, I was in some random plays and stuff, but like in my daily life, you know, especially with certain people, I'll just kind of act dramatic or be dramatic. So I'm not like a stranger to that kind of thing, I guess. But
Sure.
it's one thing to be able to be seen, you know, if you're acting something or doing something like that. It's a totally other beast to you're voicing this character and no one's looking at you. You know, you're having to convey emotions or convey things strictly with your voice. And it was just a daunting experience, you know, at first. Like I was like, man, this is going to be like really tough. And this first episode, I will say too, because it's the first episode. And so it really kind of centers on Nathan's backstory and the build up to forming the Rangers. So I had a lot of heavy lifting as far as doing the voice, you know, for Nathan for this episode. And I was like, I have so much of this that if I drop the ball, the whole episode's going to suck. Like if I suck, the whole episode's going to suck because I'm in it so much for this first episode that people are going to tap out. So I was like, if I don't do at least a mediocre job, like I'm going to tank this whole thing single-handedly. And but it was so fun though too, because once I got going and got in the groove of it, it just kind of started happening, and um,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. And I'm still a bit self-conscious about my performance as Nathan. I think as most people are, it's like when they hear their own voice, there's that famous saying, you are your worst critic. You're always hardest on
Of
yourself, basically.
course.
Um,
Right.
but I had fun doing it, and I to kind of really get into character too. It's funny,
Mm-hmm.
when people see this episode, they'll see that I have a little bit of a different accent to it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I added, a little something there to kind of separate myself and the character to a degree. Because when I first started, I was
Right.
kind of just reading it in my just regular voice, and I was like, man, this is this sounds terrible. This is just rough. Like trying to get in the mindset of the character with just my regular voice. So I add a
Mm-hmm.
little something to it, and that kind of helps me get into the character more, and it kind of just all
Yeah.
started to flow from there. So
Yeah.
yeah, daunting, but incredibly rewarding at the same time. And I'm everyone out there, y'all will be the judge. So I hope you don't mind
Happy
hearing
to
me.
lighten the load a little bit and let you know you did a fantastic
Thank
job.
you.
It was
Thank you so
more
much.
than mediocre. It was really good. You did
No, I
wonderful,
mean,
man. Like you really did.
you're right though. It's a great point about this episode that
Yeah.
when it came to the script writing and in terms of the process as well. I mean, the story is something that we worked on together, but actually, really, all of the main story elements are really from the mind of Power Metal Ranger. Like you really for this and everything else that we're creating, the ideas are generally always starting with you. And again, for me, that's how I like it. It's that organic component. Is like I just feel like, yeah, you are the Power Metal Ranger, and there's this awesome opportunity to create this whole show out of it that works so well for LovAnaverse. So my whole
Mm-hmm.
approach is that I want to facilitate that as much as possible. So really, most of the core story elements, and especially in this first episode, it's really about Nathan as there's a real aspect of like character study about Nathan in this particular story, and his
Mm-hmm.
and his background and his conflicts and the emotional journey that he goes on. And I think that that's also a really key thing that might surprise people about this. Is I think people will come hopefully for the fun stuff, the rangers and the
Right.
the battles and the music and all this
Mhm.
kind of flashy stuff, but the story has like a real heart to it, that is especially really around Nathan and his like he has a lot of emotional beats that really create the heart of this story. So um you know you came up with ultimately like the main elements of his backstory, and also how it kind of goes with the Rangers coming together and fighting big kaiju and stuff. And so then for me, it's like I was the one that like actually wrote the script.
Mhm.
um but really we kind of developed the story together, and then I wrote it from there. But when it came to writing the script, like there was this element of like I kind of did throw you in the deep end in terms of your performance, because I focused so much into those emotional story beats, and to have like there's a lot of these like really kind of emotional dialogues that Nathan has. The yeah, it's like a lot of screen time or listening time or whatever, listening to this character like express these emotions, so it, it was a demanding role to take on. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, you really did nail it, man. Like you carry it
Crushed
off
it.
like so perfectly in a way that is just like perfect for this particular character. It's like you said about the performances of all the band members. It's like they're
Yeah.
all fantastic and they're all different. So it's not about
Mhm.
one being better than another. They're all
Right.
distinct characters that performed in these distinct ways. And so
Yeah.
that's what's just so great about it.
And I think that's one of the things that everyone here is going to find out, of course, as they get to listen to it and listen to the other episodes that will be coming out in LovAnaverse, is that uh, there's this almost element where it's like, oh, what is this YouTube channel that's like putting together this thing? Like, how good is it going to actually be, right?
Of
Like,
course.
is it going to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
just okay or whatever? And it's not. I mean, it's so good. It's so good. The quality is exceptionally high at every level, and that really does include all of the very talented voice actors. Of course, the musicians, how cool it is that they lended their own voices.
Mhm.
But as you say, like they truly did embody characters, and it wasn't, as you did, right? For Nathan Murphy, like you didn't just read lines, and it doesn't sound like you just read lines. It
Mhm.
felt like you gave a performance. And
Absolutely.
the same really is true for all of the other members of the band and all the other voice actors. Um, the quality is what you would expect if you were to listen to any, proper audiobook, audio drama, from any major, distributor or whatever. I mean, this is exceptionally high quality content, and it's really cool. I mean, the story and the music and all the characters and I mean the world building element of it, all of it just comes together. It's like you were kind of touching on earlier. It's like if you grew up with Power Rangers or you grew up with any of that type of storytelling and that excited you when you were a kid, you know, um, and or it still excites you now. Like this is totally the kind of thing that would call out to you, and you
Mhm.
will almost certainly be able to enjoy it. It really is everything that you would want. If you were a kid and you're like, oh man, someday, like I want to be a Power Ranger or I want to be in a story like that, this feels that way, and it really does. It kind of fulfills, like that thing where you never really do grow up, right? Like, all these things that are so cool when you're a kid, you grow up and you do carry that with you. And there's like always the pressure of being an adult and having to be serious in life. And um, but this kind of thing with Power Metal Rangers, this first episode, and then more broadly things in the LovAnaverse, it's like it's a way to escape into this world that I think never really leaves any of us, at its core. And you embodied that so well in your character, as did everybody. And so, my kudos to everybody else who was involved in this whole project. It's wonderful. And of course, as we now know, it's going to come out on, what did we say, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wednesday 22nd, yes.
Wednesday the
So
22nd.
Wednesday
Yes.
22nd of April, it'll be on YouTube, just the full thing on YouTube for free, And
Yeah.
as you say, I think that there's a natural thing that we're gonna have to do here. We'll have to push through that initial trust barrier of people being like, oh, some random video on YouTube, is this like
Right.
actually something worth paying attention to? And yeah,
Right.
it'll take some time to perhaps build up the kind of social proof around it. But I think that, if people are willing to give us like, under an hour, which I mean, if anybody's willing to listen to us just chatter away about this now, then,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
they're going to be willing to listen to the actual thing.
Yeah.
It's like 48
Or even
minutes.
split it up, 10
Uh,
minutes a day, like if that's what you got, like
Yeah, totally,
yeah.
man, totally. And yeah, I mean, like if but I feel like if people are willing to really listen to this or watch it
Yeah.
Yeah.
and really give it their attention, for that time, I think that yeah, people are gonna really enjoy it and get a lot out of it. And as you say, Matt, I think I like to think it has a really good mix of things where it definitely captures that almost like that fantastical element
Right.
that kind of can, yeah, you can go back to childhood or whatever, these things that are exciting and larger than life, and to
Right.
be kind of taken away in this fantasy. But I like to think that it's done in a way that, you know, has enough depth to it that like it's really you know, relatable, and you know,
Yeah.
you really kind of get an emotional connection from it as an adult, you know,
Yes.
or at any age, really, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's the thing. I think if for people to be like, okay, you know, like when people, again, like with a band has a story, people might expect, okay, maybe there's some kind of lore to the band, you know, so they might expect this to be like a little bit more background on some of the characters or whatever. um but I think once people realize like this is sort of actual storytelling, then again, I
Right.
think that the people might first expect something quite pulpy. And that is part of the vibe. There's no doubt about it. It's like fun,
Right.
exciting adventures. Definitely
Yeah.
with some more of the Power Metal Ranger story going, like, you know, where we definitely want to have this kind of pulpy, fun adventure vibe going on
Right.
throughout. But especially this first one is like, it's really grounded it in you know,
Yeah.
a real kind of touching story with a lot of heart, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't shy away from things. It's absolutely not gratuitous, you know, or like
Mm-hmm.
overly intense or dark or explicit, but it also doesn't shy away from going, you know, to
Right.
those places. Like, and like, you know, Nathan, the character, you know, he's had some real tough stuff to deal with in his life, you know. And there are real reasons why he does what he does. You know, he's not just a good guy for the sake of being a good guy, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. You know, he's not just a cool character hero.
Yeah.
You know, he's somebody that like really has feelings about these things, and has ultimately suffered a lot from you know, injustice and stuff that is occurring in the world that he's in, and he really just wants to do whatever he can about it. And um yeah, and I just think that that story and, you know, your performance of the character embodying that, yeah, really brings a substance to it that I think might
Yeah.
surprise people. But then absolutely there's a lot of fun stuff going on. um
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and I mean, I think, you know, just as a little preview bit, like, I think people, you know, people check it out for themselves. But there's also some other really fun characters, and obviously we put the focus on the band and everything. But as you said, there's a lot of great voice actors in this. You know, we have the
Yeah.
band guys, and then we have like a whole ensemble of voice actors contributing to this, and some like
Right.
really, really talented folks that, you know,
Yeah.
delivered great performances and really great characters. I mean, I
Yeah.
love the villains in this episode.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
villains are
like
great.
things that I would highlight is, one, the villains, and two, the like FOMO, the like Nathan's robot
FOMO.
cat. I mean,
Yeah.
like, dude, that character is so cool, so fun. You know, I kind of have a feeling like FOMO is going to be like a you know, a fan favorite of people that check this out. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, FOMO, his Nathan's little robot kitty, his like best
Yeah.
friend, you know, his
Yeah.
real, like, you know, at the beginning at least, like his only real kind of companion. And
Right.
Power Metal Ranger, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about FOMO.
Yeah, you know, just to circle back up, I never answered Matt's first question from a while
Okay, all right,
back.
go for it.
but,
Yeah, go for it.
but remind me, I'll get back up to FOMO for sure. But I also just want to say, as far as the project goes, um, it was such a collaborative effort. I know you've said that, but like a labor of love for so many people, and it just
Yeah.
would not have been possible without like just so many people involved. And I think it's just so cool, even beyond the band, like how William said, he brought in some like
Yeah.
voice actors, some outside people to lend their like really nice professional sounding voices to
Yeah.
certain characters. Like, so it just so many people were
Right.
involved with this thing, and it's just
Mhm.
amazing. But yeah, as far as being like a non-musician, you know, as part of all
Right.
this, and that parallel between me myself, that putting together the band in real life, but then also that parallel with Nathan in the
Mm-hmm.
story, I just think it's really cool. And it's hard to, you know, I think it'll make more sense like to people when they see it happen.
Mhm.
And I just think it's a really cool just aspect to the story. The cool thing about this story episode also is there are so many awesome things happening throughout, and there's like layers to this stuff too. Really,
There are.
it really isn't just like a very surface level thing. Like how William was saying is like with some of these emotions, it's not afraid to kind of tackle um, some like really grounded kind of like emotions. Like, yes, this might be a grand space opera sort of thing. And yes, you have your battles, you have these just, fantastical things, but you also have these really grounded elements as well,
Yeah.
with some of these characters and some of the story beats that happen. Um, and, seeing Nathan's journey in the story is really just like a space opera version of like my journey as a power metal ranger in real life, kind of starting out to do something that I wanted to do and I was like passionate about. Of course, like Nathan's motivations for what he does are a bit deeper than what mine were when I started my YouTube channel, which
Exaggerated,
you'll
exactly.
learn.
Up the drama.
Yeah, very
Right.
exaggerated. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the parallels between like Nathan's like history and his life and the
Mhm.
character and like my personal life couldn't be further from the truth. But like, it's a really cool origin story, though. It kind of,
Right.
not to spoil anything, it does touch on that kind of classic um superhero trope to an extent as far as the origins of like a hero, but there's a neat little twist in there in particular that I think adds something
Mhm.
unique to it, and almost one could argue makes it even darker, which
Mhm.
not to
Yeah, I think
spoil,
so.
but y'all will kind of see what I'm getting at, but when you see the episode. But
Yeah.
but Nathan's just journey as he goes, and um he has so many kind of moments where he questions himself, like, why me, basically, what makes me so like special in this grand scheme of things, especially when it comes to kind of putting together the Rangers, and the fact that there are people willing to join Nathan as the power metal ranger and stuff like that. I mean, I think about that all the time. It is just these people and the experiences I've had since starting my channel are just incredible, and I do have that imposter syndrome from time to time, as like, why are these people like, believing in something that, I'm doing or whatever. And so that parallels to Nathan, and also like with the band, and in particular in the story, there is that element, how Matt said that, yeah, he's not a musician, but he's leading this band of musicians. Now,
Right.
I guess it makes a little bit more sense in the story episode, like in the fictional story, that he can be like a leader because they're also like fighters and, fighting crime, and, they all have their stuff. So it's like, yeah, and then the music aspect is a very big part of it, of course, which you'll see
Right.
in the episode, how it kind of, how that fits in. It's not them. It's a key element, it's not them just
Yeah.
fighting. It's a very key element to how they kind of battle the forces of evil. But like, in real life, with the power metal rangers, yeah, it's like I kind of have like the ideas, I kind of give my input and stuff, of course, and when the songwriting is going, I'll, let my opinion known about things. But yeah, I don't contribute like musically or anything like that. And it I mean, I'm just so proud to be part of it, and just so proud to
Yeah.
have these guys like, basically their trust in me is enough that I feel like I'm a part of the project, and I don't ever want it to be thought of as like, oh, that's Power Metal Rangers apostrophe S project. Like that's his project. Yeah, it started out as my idea, and I
Mhm.
facilitated getting the guys together and stuff. But I see it now, though, it's each of our project. It's the Power Metal Rangers. Like, it's not the Power Metal Rangers without any of us. Like, we're
Right.
all the Rangers, and um So yeah, I think I kind of lost where I was trying to connect some of the dots. But
No, I think you've got it, man. And
yeah,
I
You
think that
did.
what I would chime in to say is just that
yeah,
um I think some people genuinely have questioned that, right? Like, what is Power Metal Ranger, what's he doing in this band exactly? You know,
yeah.
like
I've had some ask
so
me like, "Oh, what
some
exactly
people
do you
have,
do
you
in the
know.
band?" Yeah, it's
And
like, well,
you know, I'd like to think that, like, one thing I
Yeah.
can say from the inside, you know, if this isn't obvious to people, is that you are absolutely integral to this group. There's no doubt about it. And I think that it's awesome, as you say, you know, in that leadership, you kind of, yeah, you do put your focus on the project first and facilitating everybody else. But you know, the reality is there is no Power Metal Rangers without the Power Metal Ranger. And I think that this story, like, I would like to think that if people watch this story, it will, you know, maybe even answer any questions they have, because of course it's fictional, it's symbolic, but I think that from watching the story, you can actually understand how integral, and what you all understand more, at least, about the role that you play in this.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that, of course, this story is so driven by your character's arc. So I think that, yeah, even though you like suspend your belief and understand where the fantasy is and the exaggeration, I think people can still learn more about the reality through the story, you know. So yeah, I think that that's, so again, another aspect that's just like cool and unique about
Yeah.
you know, about those
yeah,
parallels.
And almost, you know, I know that for me, of course, with my first sort of full watch through of the episode, I mean, I found myself getting hooked so quickly. It doesn't take almost any time at all before you start to realize, like, oh, this is something special, right? This really is deep, genuine storytelling. It's not like you said, it's not surface level. Let's cobble something together just so we can play a cool song at the end or whatever.
yeah,
It's like in many ways, the song really feels like it emerges organically from the story, almost, rather than the other way around. And the music itself, it just feels so grounded in what the story itself is. But touching on Nathan Murphy's actual like story, of course without any spoilers, um it is um there are so many different layers of like complexity there that, as you said, I think anyone can find something to relate to, whether from his actual sort of historic past, or from his internal dilemmas, and even from that specific element of what does it even mean to lead a band that you're not a musician in,
hmm
right? In a very sort of real way, that almost imposter syndrome, or like
Hmm.
that element of it is something that's actually very profound. I found in watching
Hmm.
and listening, and there are things that I could relate to even there, and
Hmm.
and and I think that's going to happen throughout the story for so many different things. On top of the fact that it's really fun and cool in this
Yeah,
whole dystopian
but that,
cyberpunk
yeah,
Power
yeah,
Rangers
yeah.
fantasy,
That's
it's
yeah,
yeah,
the dressing, right? You know, that's
yeah, it is.
that's all the fun dressing. It's like, yeah, we
Right.
might not all be able to relate to the fact that we're hanging out on a spaceship, you know,
I
chatting to our
can, but
robot cat or whatever, you know. But I mean, but yeah, those elements, yeah, especially as you say, like the imposter syndrome is certainly a core theme that he's wrestling with
right.
the entire time.
Hmm.
And yeah, and generally as well, just you know, feelings of uh you know, insignificance as well, in terms of like, how much of a difference can you really make? What's the point in doing anything that you
Right.
do that's a question that we can all ask ourselves, that we
Right.
probably all struggle with at some point at some time. Like, I'm putting so much effort into this thing. Like, is it really worth it? You know, and these kind of core dilemmas are things that, yeah, I like to think that, you know, probably anybody can relate to. Like, I think Nathan is a very human, very grounded character, and the fact that he's able to then do what he does in forming the group and you know, becoming a hero, that's what makes it really mean something, because we understand these kind of core conflicts that this character has. You know, that's again what I keep referring to as really the heart of the story. You know, and I think that really this especially this first episode is really Nathan Murphy's story, and his just a human character, and the spaceships and the monsters and the aliens and stuff, like, you know, that's again, that's the source, you know, that's like what makes it fun and nice and whatever. But when you strip it all back, this is just a story about a guy, you know, and somebody that anybody can relate to, I think. So yeah, you know, that's a big part of it. And I did just want to pull it back to that thing, because it's so typical about, like, that was the main reason we created FOMO, or F0 M0. It's a robot cat. And he was funnily enough, like, I love FOMO. Like, it was such a cool thing that we created. And it really came just from, you know, as I was writing the script, it's like we decided to write this one without any narration, which some of the stories, you know, have a lot of narration, so it feels a lot more like, you know, an audio book with a narrator kind of telling the story as it happens, and then people saying their lines. This has no narrator at all, so it really is like listening to a movie. And when you have that, you need to give people reasons to talk. And we wanted to understand so much of Nathan's inner process that it needed to make sense why he's talking to himself, or
he's
or
not
how
just a
can he
lunatic where he just talks to himself.
Exactly, because then it doesn't feel natural. So he needs somebody to talk to, but somebody that's going to be reasonably sort of passive in the conversation and allow him to get his feelings out. So there needs to be like an emotional response from this character, even though the character is reasonably passive. And so we shot a bunch of ideas about, like, maybe, you know, maybe he could have, at first it was like, let's do like a Jarvis type thing.
Yeah, like a robot android kind of.
Like he speaks to like a spaceship or something, and it's like an AI.
Oh yeah, what's that?
And then there's like Power Metal Rangers. Exactly.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, Hal, or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
So, I can't do that, Dave. Yeah, Hal. Yeah.
Something like that, because the whole point is the character, especially at the beginning, he's quite isolated, you know. So yeah, something like that, like a robot or whatever, that would kind of give him company, but also, you know, kind of accentuate the kind of loneliness that he has. We played around with, like, you know, Power Rangers had like Alpha 5 or whatever, you know, the robot and the spaceship. So we played around with that, but then as we were talking, I can't remember exactly how it went, but like you were obviously, like, you know, you're a cat dad, right?
Yeah, cat dad. No, and it was totally your idea. You kind of like threw the idea out there, because, you know, like in real life, I have 4 cats. Like, I love cats. And you're like, why don't we make it like a robot cat? And I was like, yo, that's tight. Like, that's awesome.
And so we started playing around, and I mean, you sent me pictures of your, you know, of the
one of my cats in particular. Yeah, the boy, because I have.
Yeah, tell us about him just a little bit, like what you told me.
And he'll love that he's being talked about right now, totally. and you'll understand more right when I'm done. But so I have 4 cats. 3 of them are siblings, 2 sisters and 1 brother. And then we ended up adopting another one later, who's now obviously a sibling too, but the other 3 are biological. Anywho, so 3 of them are girls, but the boy, Lucas is his name in real life. And he just seemed like the perfect fit. Like, once William said the idea about like the robot cat that, you know, does this, I was like, you know, like, he should be patterned after Lucas, not my cat, because he's the kind of cat where he just, he always has to know what's going on. Like he always has to be part of what's happening. Like he could even just briefly, like, but he's got to be there. And we always joke that, he's that way, and I would joke that like his middle name is FOMO, like because he always has to be part of everything. Like he does
Right.
not like to be left out ever. But and so that kind of got worked in where it's like it's in his likeness too as well. The FOMO, the cat, and
after
the
we
story.
got this far in the conversation, it was like, yeah, okay, so he has to be involved in this then, right? And then you sent me the pictures of him, and we actually made Lucas like into the robot cat, right?
Yeah, and I've shown the pictures to Lucas too, and I see him look at it. I'm like, look, see, you're part of the Rangers, like you're always part of everything, just so he knows he's not being left out of anything. And then that's also where the FOMO kind of came out. That I think William, is your idea, like the FOMO, and then one of us was like, oh yeah, it's like how they have like the robots in like Star Wars, like R2D2, C3PO, whatever.
Right.
We thought it would be cool that if like the name is actually like F0-M0, like that's his like the model name or whatever, but the FOMO for short. And that's even written into FOMO's like personality, where one of the characters even mentions like, he doesn't like being left out of stuff, and it's just so cool how that came to be. And it felt so much more like personal too than if we did just do like a Alpha 5 or like a random robot. The fact that not only is it like a robot cat, and I love cats, but it's also patterned after like one of my cats, and personality wise it like completely fits, and even the name parallels with, and it just was such a eureka kind of moment. That
it was so fun.
Cool.
As soon as we got onto that dialogue, I was just that was it. It was ticking. I was like, this is exact. It was just like the final piece when it was like actual script writing. We had all the characters really, but then as the script writing was there, it was like, that I just need some device here, something that lets this flow. And then as soon as we got into that dialogue, it just fit perfectly. And as you say, really, Lucas is brought into this story in the same way that you and the rest of the guys in the band and stuff are. It's like there's certainly this organic element of the basis of real life if you kind of exaggerated this character and put them in a fantasy story, and so he made it in there too, and I think the thing is, like, he only meows like as a robot, so he's
Lucas,
got a kind
we'll
of...
be clear too, Lucas doesn't voice FOMO.
Yes,
that would have taken me I don't know how long of trying to get him to
but I have been asked that, and the thing is, we actually did get a voice actor to voice FOMO rather than using like cat samples, something that I spoke with both of you guys about. I remember you were very skeptical about that at first because we auditioned for the part, and I was trying to convince you, like, I just feel like instead of using cat samples, like the thing is, the way FOMO is scripted, he only ever makes cat sounds, he only ever says meow and so on, but he's talking, like he's a part of the conversation, especially between Nathan and FOMO. They have conversations. And so in a way, like, again, like R2D2, he only goes beep, beep, boop, boop. But like the characters converse with him. You understand that there's like, a dialogue going on there. And that's what I wanted, is like, I felt like the character needed to not be just, like it needed to be alive. It needed to be like something that Nathan was connecting with emotionally, not just talking to a computer or whatever, and so I felt like, even if it might sound a bit silly, it might be ridiculous, this might be an absurd idea, but I felt like it's less important that it sounds like a real cat than it is like actually a character, and in the end, like, we auditioned a whole bunch for it, and I remember we were listening through, and you were like, I don't know about this, man.
I just had a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that like it's like a person like making
yes,
cat sounds.
it's pretty funny, man, listening to a whole
Yeah, it
bunch of
is.
people just like
And
meow.
a lot of people auditioned for that too.
It was
Like,
one
so
of the
they
most
listed all
popular
kinds
roles.
of like
Yeah.
people like meowing, and it was just
But
like
I
at a
was
certain
saying,
point,
I
like,
was
this
saying
is
like,
so
I'm trying
bizarre.
just imagine, suspend your belief for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And just like imagine we're gonna process it. We'll like pitch it up a bit, and we'll add some kind of effects to make it a bit more robotic as well. And I just feel like it's gonna work. And you're like, okay, man, okay. And then I remember Matt, like when you came on, like shooting this with you as well, and we kind of played around with some processing, and you even did some, and we kind of shot some back and forth. And then you were like, "Yeah, dude, like get the voice actor. Like it's gonna work." And I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Palmetto Ranger, but I personally really
I
like
dig
how
it.
that came
It
out.
turned out really good, and the voice actor
Mhm.
did a really good job too. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's just the whole, just getting past the fact that like this is like a person like making cat sounds, but no, to your point, William, it's like it was much more important that it sounds like the characters like reacting and conversing with Nathan than it actually being like cat sounds, like samples that just are just to nothing, like, shallow. Like it's not, where it's much more conversational and much more reactive. And also it's it's a space opera. It's like it doesn't have to, and it's a robot cat, a data cat, as we say in the thing. So it doesn't even have to sound exactly like a real cat, So it definitely grew on me, and I love it. And like you said too, I think FOMO's gonna be a fan favorite character. I've shared the story episode with a handful of folks, and one of them was like, "I want a FOMO." Like they want a FOMO, and so it's like we got to get that FOMO merch going stat, get ahead of the game.
Well, yeah, man, once we had got into that conversation and it was like this was happening, I was like, oh yeah, man, it's all about FOMO. Like, people are gonna love this. I can't wait till we have like a FOMO trading card in the TCG. I've played around with designs. Obviously, I've got like draft versions at the moment, but that's just gonna be so cool when people can actually play FOMO, and it's gonna have some cool impact. So yeah, a super fun character. And what's also really fun is like that character, like FOMO, is voice acted by Rin Moore, who is also voice acting one of the villains. So you would never know that's the same voice actor. And she did such an amazing job, like both times, on characters that are like such opposite ends of the spectrum, So because she's like in her villain role, she's like a sort of
I love
almost
her
like an
voice acting
evil
for that
ranger.
villain.
Yeah, she's kind of like
killer work.
She's a sort of parallel to the Rangers. She's a kind of evil ranger type vibe, but she's just like this really like brutal commando, and she's just like super brutal, super action, oriented. She comes in like, so it's super cool. And yeah, the villains are super fun, man. Like, obviously the main ones being like this kind of evil alien empress, or at least from their perspective, I suppose. She's just an alien empress. And then there's the scientist, which is a huge part of this story as well. Just like the mad scientist kind of trope is obviously is a big one that's been used, but I found our spin on it in this episode just like so fun. This character that is like just like a kind of mad, he's just sort of like alien goblin, right? And that's another one that again, like I was just like, oh, we need something like that, and we were going back and forth. And I remember I spent like ages just making the image for that character because I had something there, and I was like, I need to find this. And I spent like a really excessive amount of time just dialing in. Like I got loads of cool images, and I was like, yeah, no. And then I got that one. I was like, yeah, this is the guy. And I sent it to you, and like straight away we were like, this
I
guy,
loved it
he
immediately.
is. I mean, the Empress is like the big bad in this for sure, but he is like the kind of baddie that is very prominent in this episode. He's the one with really kind of all the screen time, and he's just. I mean, Matt, what did you think of the scientist? What were your thoughts on that character?
Dude. Well, he was hilarious in some ways. I mean, obviously twisted and totally deranged. And the voice actor completely just nailed that vibe. I mean, you completely bought into the fact that this character is like, in many ways, just totally off his rocker. Like he is supposed to be super smart, right? Like these are super and is, and yet at the same time he's completely crazy. So it's like it's so fun. It's so
quite
fun.
eccentric character.
He certainly adds a lot to the drama of it, and also just the craziness, the operatic quality, where it's just it's funny and it's crazy and it's wild, but he also brings in a little bit of a horror element with this almost kind of like gothic element to the mad scientist, that kind of Frankenstein type thing. So that some of his scenes, especially his first scene, like when he first comes in, there is almost like a kind of spooky sci-fi horror kind of vibe atmosphere going on. But it's like he's sort of scary and hilarious at the same time, right?
That's
it's
the
pretty,
thing, and
it's fun,
and it's kind of very much like what happens with a lot of what happens in the episode, and is that you start to realize that these aren't like one-dimensional characters, right? And so even this sort of like spooky mad scientist sort of character, you start to realize like, okay, like, like there's the kind of comedic element, right? That's like, it's funny because he's so zany and wacky. And also he's twisted and is scary, and he's not, he's not a good guy. I mean, he's evil, and so, but that tends to be like a theme that is reflected throughout, the whole story. And obviously with Power Metal Ranger himself and all the other, cast and everything, that there's not just one simple thing that defines like, oh, this is the thing for that character. Boom, you get it, and it's in like now you have, that's the whole picture. It's not. Like, there's so much going on. There's so many layers of complexity, from a storytelling and character building. They all have their own motivations, and it comes across. It really does come across when you're listening. That it's like, oh, is this guy, is he just the goofy henchman, or like, does he have his own, thing going on, that's driving him to be motivated in some way? And of course, like, obviously the big bad guy, at least, relatively in this episode, the voice actress that portrayed her, fantastic. Across the board,
just killer.
the Empress, absolutely, like, she would just be at home ruling any evil empire,
I love Nakusa, who did the Empress, is like such an amazing voice actress that we've spoken about, when we've been casting. It's like we've actually cast her in a couple of big villain roles just because she's so good. And what she brought to this character, totally, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, so what we're gonna do is like we should look to wrap this up. I think, as we've been speaking loads about this episode that we're super excited about. So we're gonna give this to people, and hopefully people are really looking forward to what we got going on here. we're going to give people the chance to check out the episode. Again, April 22nd, people actually come and check it out. And then what we'll do is we'll release another podcast where we talk a little bit more about what actually happens in the story, and we can kind of go through it, not so much worrying about the spoilers and things. And then perhaps we can speak a little bit more about these characters and their motivations and stuff with the context of people having seen the story. So hopefully people are interested in coming and joining us in, for that. And I suppose, let us know in the comments and things like that if you are. But otherwise, I feel like this is a good place to wrap for this one. Do you guys want to say anything about it before we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good place, and I hope we properly set the stage. But ultimately, anyone watching, like, nothing's gonna fully prepare you for like what it is. Like, just so excited for like folks to actually see the episode. Hopefully this has gotten you even more excited, or given you at least an idea of what to expect. But I just really can't wait. And like we said before, it's like, this is like primarily Nathan's story here. But I'm also looking forward to in the future that expanding out and being much more shared, but every story has to have like a beginning, and it just so happens that's kind of this story. And it's just, the sky's the limit. I can't wait for more. But so excited for folks to check out the episode. So please check it out and let us all know, like, in the comments once that drops, what you think of it. And ultimately, we're just all so excited for y'all to be along on this ride with us. And
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. And I look forward to catching you on the next episode to chat more about it.
Great job,
Cheers.
everybody. All right.
Catch you guys later, and
Super
catch
excited.
everybody later. Ciao.